So, Goldilocks doesn't need your story points or your t-shirts. Why am I talking about Goldilocks? Well, I think she can teach us a thing or two about how to improve our agility, and I don't mean by her well-documented technique of how to jump through windows and escape from bears. So we can learn from the way she likes things to be just right. If your team can do this with their tasks, then they may be able to learn to let go of needing the t-shirts or the story points, and the business will also accept that. To be honest, I can't actually remember what the moral of the Goldilocks story was, and just in case you're worried, this hasn't got anything to do with breaking and entering, or harassing bears and stealing their food or sleeping in their beds. Anyway, so who am I, and what am I talking about today? As Pat said, I'm Ben Murray. I'm a Senior Engineering Manager with Holland Barrett UK. For those who don't know it, it's one of the world's leading health and wellness providers, retailers. They're not yet in Germany, but who knows, probably sometime soon. I know their ambitions. Anyway, I spent most of the first half of my career as a software engineer on using various different coding languages, and most of the second half has been leading and managing teams of software engineers. Throughout that time, I've experienced many versions of agile, and on the theme of doing more with less, I'm talking about how you deal with that question we all love: how long is it going to take? So how long will it take? How do you answer that question? Always a difficult one. For a very small and easy to understand task, you can probably even estimate that quite accurately, just saying a couple of days. As soon as the task becomes large and complex, that estimation is often just a guess. If you happen to be giving an estimate in days, then how often do you sort of find yourself doubling it up or adding a buffer, and then somebody else doubles that up, adds another buffer? And of course, if you're doing this because you know there's somebody who's further down the line is going to cut it in half, then okay, that's a different problem, but it's that. So story points are supposed to abstract away the time component so that we can focus on the relative size of the tasks. They're meant to indicate difficulty and uncertainty in size. However, we're also told that we're not meant to think of a 5 as 5 times that of a 1, but then we do measure our velocity. So we're expected to manage some number of points every sprint, or if you're not doing sprints, in some time periods. In effect, we always end up applying a time component. So as with estimating in days, you might find yourself saying 3 when you really thought it was a 2, or 5 when you really thought it was a 3. T-shirts. T-shirt sizing is something else that often gets suggested when the story points aren't working. Usually this is they're being too directly turned into days, or we feel that they're being misused somehow. And we want to move away from that time component again and and control the estimation even more. So T-shirt sizing is a bit more abstracted, that's true, but telling somebody a pile of T-shirts is not a good answer to the how long will it take. Nobody's going to be happy with that. So someone will still have to start trying to work out how to map your bunch of T-shirts to work out what fits into some time period. So you might find yourself again buying an extra large rather than a large, or a large rather than a medium, just to make sure it fits. That might just be me. So what I'm suggesting here is you just focus on the work, break it down, and trust that you're able to work out what small enough is for a task. I have a couple of teams that I was having a look at the juuust statistics recently, and one of them is using story points and the other one isn't. The one that is using points, I found that a 2-point task is taking 5 times as long as a 1, and 3, 5, and 8-point tasks all take about the same amount of time, and they're about 1.5 times that of a 2. So, and the average of all the tasks, completely ignoring the points, was almost the same as the 3, 5, 8 group. So they weren't really adding much value. The other team just breaks them down, and when they feel they need to, and this team has had like a consistent sort of average time per task pretty much all year. It makes planning and estimating nice and easy. The team just breaks down the tasks, you do the work, and the estimates can be done from the data that comes out the other end. There are outliers, but Over a period of time, it can be surprisingly stable when you remove the overhead of the process and focus on just doing the work. I've seen this before as well with other teams. When you get it going nicely, it really does work. So, responding to change, because nobody expects the unexpected. If you don't understand, I'm not going to do the voice. If nobody understands the background, please come and have a chat with me later. I'll explain it. But before being able to decide if a task is small enough, we might need to do some discovery to understand it properly. So the rule for breaking things down until they're small enough applies here too, only the other way around. So instead of asking, is it small enough, we're saying, do we understand it enough to decide if it's small enough? If not, do some more discovery and then ask the question again. So if we're focusing on building the feature, when it's all about the number of pieces you have to put together, one benefit you can get from this is that the measurement is very simple. There's no scale of task sizes to worry about, and this means that from the data, you can even extract a figure of tasks per person per week. Now, I know a lot of people are grimacing at that sort of measure. Sounds horrible, but it doesn't require anybody in the team to estimate how long it's going to take, and the team can just get on with the job of developing the software and breaking the tasks down. There is no estimation other than deciding when to break it down, and that's just yes or no. And with the tasks per person per week, we can answer that how long will it take question. So, as was mentioned in the intro, learning comes from experience and observations, and I like to experience different kinds of beers and to record what I observe in an app. Some of them taste a lot better. Imperial Stout, very good. And occasionally, they go down the drain. Cream soda pale ale, not a good idea. What did I learn from this? Not really sure, but everybody has to have a hobby. So the point of this is that it can take time to get the process right. So you need to take measurements to see how consistent you are, and when there are significant outliers, discuss it in the team. Standard retrospectives, should we have broken that down? Should we have discovered it more? Use the data to check if it's working and demonstrate it to the stakeholders. So it's quite simple message. It's not a silver bullet, and I'm not saying that story points and t-shirt sizing are bad. They may work for you very well. It just made for a nice title. The key point is just to remember on that focus of get the work right. Do we know enough to decide if it's small enough, or do we need to do some discovery? And is it small enough, or do we need to break it down? Once you learn what this just right size for you and your team is, you'll find that you're completing tasks on average at a near constant rate. Some will turn out to be smaller, some bigger, but if you can make the average steady, then you can predict how long things will take without having to worry about any task size to time scale mathematics. We will still make mistakes, and there will always be edge cases, but the predictability and consistency should take care of itself. So, thank you for listening. I hope you found some of this useful. If you want to chat about estimating or sampling different types of beer or vintage British comedy or whatever, please come find me in the break later. Thank you. Ciao.